Marketing Your Private Practice is a podcast where you'll learn easy to implement tips and strategies to grow your business without spending all day online. I'm your host, Kathy Colaiacovo, and I teach practitioners the Thrive marketing method to create simple and streamlined plans by focusing on long-term strategies, not just social media. Discover ways to spend less time on your marketing, attract more clients, and build the financial freedom that comes with a thriving practice. One where you have time left in your day for the people and things that matter to you. Hey, private practice heroes, it's Kathy Colaiacovo, and thanks for checking out this episode of Marketing Your Private Practice, because we're going to talk about getting more out of the time you put into your marketing. And specifically, I want you to learn some important strategies when it comes to using images in your marketing. Some of these strategies will save you from being fined hundreds of dollars like some of my previous clients have had happen. And then there are some time-saving strategies that will help you get to the place where it takes no more than 5 minutes to create those images that you do use in your marketing. Because I'm pretty sure all of you would rather be working with clients and billing for your time than spending hours on Canva creating that perfect image. We're really going to dive into some lessons today that prove that old saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Now, I did do some research on this, and no one is exactly sure who started this quote, but its meaning is always clear. You can say something to people with one picture that could take you many, many words to do the same job. And it's for this very reason that business owners use images in their marketing. They simply do the job of so many words much more effectively. But are they really that important? Yes, I believe they are. And when you have a system for creating your marketing images, it makes it so much easier to do. It takes less time, and you'll find yourself with more effective images, and ones that can be used in more than one way as well. And when I'm talking about effective images, I really mean images that help your marketing do its job to get you more traffic, more leads, and more sales. Now, I've talked about marketing images before in some of my podcast episodes, and I've even introduced you to my 5 minutes max rule for marketing images. And if you didn't hear that before, yes, I believe 5 minutes is all it should take for you to make a marketing image to go with your social media content. Now, I have had some folks message me back about, okay, Kathy, how do you make this 5 minutes max rule work? Because a lot of them are telling me it takes them 20, 30, or even more minutes than that to create the images to go with their social media and their newsletters and their blog content. Holy crap. No one has that much time to spare when running a business. And that's why I believe in the 5-minute marketing rule and why I want to start some lessons and share some ideas here on how you can create effective marketing images without spending a ton of time on them, time that you simply don't have. And there are studies out there that share some facts about images and pictures and why they make such a difference in how we consume content. If you understand some of this information, it gives you a little better insight on how to improve the images you do create for your marketing. One book out there called Brain Rules, The 12 Principles for Surviving and Thriving at Work, Home, and School, was authored by a man named Dr. John Medina. He's a developmental molecular biologist, but he studies how the mind reacts to and organizes information. And so he's got some good info out there on how our brains process information. And one video that I've watched of his, he has these rules that he talks about on his website. And one of them is rule number 10, which is vision trumps all other senses. And it's true. And in his information, he also shares a couple of facts about our brains and our sense of sight. One is that our memory of pictures is incredible. 3 days after we hear a piece of information, we remember maybe about 10% of it. But when you add an image, a visual to it, you can remember 65% of it. And the other fact that he shares is that images trump text because our brains see the text as actually a bunch of tiny pictures. And it takes more time to process all those pictures and get the message across that you could have gotten from the one image. That's why I'm a firm believer in images, because I really do believe in this research and some of these facts that he shares. And there are other studies I've read on images and marketing that have helped determine things like big one that I really paid attention to was a common factor about website users is that they pay the most amount of attention to images, especially when the images on them were relevant to the content on the page. They pretty much ignore the fluff images that were added to just add variety to the content. So when the images are relevant, the readers spent more time looking at the images than they do reading the text on the page. And this is helpful either way because the search engines love your website more and more when they see people spending more time on your website pages. So if you have images in your website, in your content, there, your blogs, on your pages, wherever it is, that's going to help people, number one, understand the message you're sharing a lot better. But number two, spend more time on the page as well. The reality overall here is images help people consume your marketing content straight up. And this is why I'm always talking about adding images to your marketing content and images with some info or tips or advice that go along with some of the strategic parts of adding things in like your brand, your name, and your website to the images. And it doesn't matter if you're writing blogs, social media posts, newsletters, adding images is important for all of them. And it will help people take in and understand more of your content. And it helps them retain the content as well. And I know many of you know all of this. The trouble that I find when I talk to practice and business owners is that the problem comes in creating the images without spending hours making each image perfect and the best fit possible for their content. Now, I'm not saying all images have to be run through my 5 minutes max rule. There are definitely images that you use in your marketing that will need to take time and maybe even the help of a professional designer. But for you practice and business owners out there who do wear that marketing hat for your business, you need systems and strategies that help you be effective without having it claim all of your time. Because the reality is, I want you out there spending more time in your day working with clients and billing for that time versus spending more of your time on marketing and creating images. Marketing is important, but it cannot be the bulk of your daily activities. It will definitely take you more time when you're new in the business and starting out, but it's something you should be spending less and less time on as you grow and you get more clients into your business or your practice. So let's talk today about how you can plan for the way you're going to use the images in your marketing. Because whether you're posting your content on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, blogs, newsletters, wherever it is, you want to be planning to have images that support your message. This is crucial to having effective marketing. And this is why I try to make sure people don't put the cart before the horse when it comes to creating their marketing content. And that's why I talk about having a consistent content plan all the time and knowing what content you're going to write and knowing what images you need and knowing what videos you might need if that's the case. Because when you don't plan for how you're going to use all of this, that's when the chaos can happen and you end up with random acts of marketing. And we don't want that. I want you to thrive from the time you spend on your marketing. And that includes the time you spend creating the images you're using. So let's get into these marketing strategies I want to share with you that will help you create your marketing images in a way that gets your message across faster to your audience. It makes it clear what your message is and attracts them to even when they're scrolling around, whether it be on Instagram, Facebook, wherever they're looking and moving through their phone or going through their desktop, that they might stop and read what you have to say. And maybe sometimes those images you create will convey the entire message altogether. So let's get into these 5 strategies to create effective marketing images in less time. Number 1, I can't believe I actually have to say this, but I do because some people still don't understand this one. Never, ever copy images from the internet to use as your own. Now, if you don't think this is serious, trust me, it can be. And there are still people out there that think it's okay to just do a search for images on Google and use them. You can do this, but if you really aren't crossing all your T's and dotting all your I's when you copy an image like that, you could be putting yourself and your business at risk of getting fined for copyright infringement. I've had 2 clients who, before working with me, did this very thing and used images that they found on the internet, and they got fined. One was only $175, not too bad, but the other one was $1,400. And they did, in fact, take an image from the internet. They were guilty of using that image that was not theirs to use. So it's very important to know where you get your images from, and more importantly, to know what the licensing use is for the images that you are using in your marketing. This is one of the reasons I'm a big believer in using Canva for marketing images, especially when you're not a designer and you have your own business and you wear all those marketing hats. It helps you and it gives you access to images you know are allowed to be used by you in your marketing. Now, for me, I've actually been approached by companies claiming that an image used on my website in a blog post was a breach of copyright. But because I have an account where I got the image, because before Canva came about, I had several accounts with different stock accounts, and I would buy credits and buy the images to use them. So when I did that, I would save all of those images in a special file on my computer so that I could prove to anyone, if I ever had to, that I did have the rights to use it. And once I showed this company that information, they backed off and said, yep, you're okay. You don't have to pay the fine of $1,400. And you have to remember, there are so many images out there. There's a website called I cannot say this, Photutorial, okay? And they claim there are over 750 billion images on the internet, which apparently is only about 6% of the total photos ever taken, since most of the photos we do take are never shared. I don't know about you, but I've got about 20,000 photos on my iPhone. It's something I do. I have to clean up every so often and delete them. And I know there's some tools out there that can help you do that and get rid of duplicates and things like that, which is great. But the reality is there are billions of images out there. But it doesn't mean that you can just use them. Every picture has an owner. And it's crucial to understand the importance of image copyrights. Because not only can breaches of copyright use harm your bank account, they can severely damage your reputation. So never use and just copy images from the internet to use as your own. The second strategy here that I kind of hinted at is to use Canva or some other type of stock photo website to source your images with the right licenses. If you're going to use images in your marketing, use a source where you know that you have permission to use them. There are websites like Pixabay.com and Pexels, which is Pexels. They're both free to use. A lot of their images, I'll be honest, are in Canva already. There are sites like the one that I've always used forever, bigstockphoto.com. Adobe has a stock photo site as well, and they will charge you a fee. You can buy credits to buy the images, but sometimes it gives you some unique images that aren't necessarily all the free ones that you find on Canva. Now, if you do use Canva to create your marketing images, there are tons of stock photos there as well. Lots to use when you have the free account, and you have access to even more when you have their pro version of Canva. And as you've heard me say a million times before, the pro license with Canva is well worth the fee. And you want to remember too, especially if you're using the stock photo websites, make sure you download and use the proper file, because they have samples you can download that have a watermark in them. And I will tell you, way back in the day, I think we're talking 13 years ago, I lost a client because one of my team members forgot to swap out the sample stock image with the one that we had purchased. And it went out in this client's newsletter. First newsletter we ever did for her. And rightly so, she fired us on the spot after that newsletter went out. It was not good for her reputation. There was a watermark on it and we were gone. And that was an $8,500 a year contract, all gone because of one image mistake we made. This is why it's important to source the images with the right license for use and double check and proof them. Now, for those of you that are out there looking for more diverse and body positive images, one place to source these from is by checking out Lindley Ashleen's website called bodyliberationphotos.com. I heard of her from one of my clients, Erica Leon, and thanks, Erica, for that tip. And you definitely want to visit Lindley's website if you're looking for unique stock photos. And be sure not to miss her Body Love Shop, where she offers what she refers to as curated fat positive and body positive goods and artwork for and from the fat, plus size, LGBTQIA plus and BIPOC communities. She has some really awesome stuff on there. That's actually where I got my coffee mug that has a saying on it that says, "I donut care about your diet." And it's got a picture of a donut on it. I love it. So Lindley definitely has much more than typical stock photos. So if you're looking for unique images that have those kinds of visuals in them and looking for that in your marketing, definitely check her out. bodyliberationphotos.com. And I'll put that in the show notes for you as well. The idea is here, make sure that you know where you're sourcing your images and that you've got the right license to use them in your marketing. Now, the third strategy is all about including your brand elements in your marketing images. And this is something that's really important to do, is having pieces of your business and your brand in your marketing content. Typically, I'm always talking about elements like pieces of your logo, your brand colors, your fonts, things like that. Even your own photos, pictures of you. Showing your face is important in your marketing too. You should know all of these, even the brand color codes, and know them by heart to use when they're needed. But one of the things that I love about Canva, and especially if you have a pro account, is you can set up your brand element complete with logos, logo elements, pieces, your brand colors, and your fonts. And when you have this all set up in the system, it will save you a ton of time when it comes to creating those images. You don't have to go and remember the code or go to your computer and upload your logo over and over and over again to put them on your marketing images. So you want to make sure that you have these elements ready to go so that the images you post online have some of you and your business in them. It helps with brand recognition. And it doesn't always have to be your logo either, your full logo. You'll see with my images, if you look at any of my marketing, I put the icon of Pepper, my dog, who, if you don't know, she actually is my real dog here in real life and is the dog in all of my branding. And we use that icon all by itself, just Pepper the dog, in many places. So if your logo has pieces of it and elements like this, you can look at doing that too, because it doesn't always have to be your company name on the image. It can just be a piece, an element of your logo or your brand. But if you can do this and pull it apart, then you can have a little more variety to those images that you're creating as well. They don't all have the logo on it. They might have different pieces. I like to mix all of that up in how I put my images together and include the brand elements. But the goal is that having your brand on your marketing images, one tip too is it also keeps people from taking your images and using them as their own. But more importantly, it's all about getting people to really learn to recognize who you are and who your company is. The fourth strategy is having a plan to create your images, knowing that you're going to repurpose them in the future. You know me, I'm a firm believer in repurposing marketing content as much as possible. It simply saves time. And just because an image is created for one reason doesn't mean you can't reuse it in another way. This is a system I teach my Thrive Marketing Academy members in the program, and we do it with the clients that I work with too. When you have that consistent content plan in place, you know exactly how many images you're going to need and where they're going to be used when you write and create an article that you're going to use in your marketing and as the basis of your social media marketing content. This allows you to create a minimal amount of images that you can use in your marketing, but you're creating images that get reused in many ways. So as an example for me, every week with my podcast, which is my consistent new content, we create 5 types of images. That's it. 5 images. We use Canva to resize and reshape them because we know they're going to be used in more than 5 pieces of marketing content. They actually get used in more than 15 places, and sometimes more if I reuse them in the future for other reasons. So it's a total of about 15 social media posts, but I don't make 15 images. I make 5. A repurposing plan like this helps you know exactly how many you need to make because you're going to know where you're going to repurpose them and reuse them in the future. And Canva's resize option with their pro account helps you do this too. This is why I always say it's well worth $15 a month to have a Canva account, because it saves you way more than $15 of your time every month. So think about that. If a tool can save you more than $15 of your time every month, it's well worth paying $15 a month to get that time back in your day. And yeah, if you are not thinking about your time in this way as being a value and having a value to an hour of your time, you really need to be considering this. If you missed episode 20 of my podcast, we discussed pricing programs. And part of that strategy is knowing what an hour of your time is worth. And I'll link to that episode in the show notes for you, because I believe every business owner should understand how much an hour of your time is worth. That helps you make decisions in all sorts of ways and all sorts of avenues when it comes to your business or your practice. But the idea is here with this repurposing plan, you never should be creating a unique image to go with every piece of content you create in your marketing. You don't have time for this, and the ROI on that time is not ideal. What you want to do is create the minimum amount of images you can use and repurpose so that it can be reused as social media posts and content all over the place. When you use those images in many ways, that is the number one secret to having more marketing content that takes less time for you to create. Now, my fifth strategy is one some people don't always necessarily understand. I want you to ensure that when you create your marketing images, they can stand alone and share a message. And this is a strategy that has worked for me and hundreds of clients for over 15 years. And I think it's important to consider for every practice or business. I like to make sure that the images we create for the marketing, well, in particular, the ones that will have words on them, because sometimes you are going to have an image that may not have any words because it's a supportive image to the message. But when you're creating images for your marketing, you want to make sure the message on the image can stand alone as a message all by itself. And what I mean by that is if all I did was look at the image and read the words on it, I learned something, okay? The reason I use this strategy is because people skim when they read online. You do it, I do it, everybody does it. We don't have time to read everything. And an image will often be the thing that catches their attention first. We know this from the research. So if that image makes absolutely no sense at all, it may not catch their eye and people might move on. When you make that image make sense all by itself and have a standalone message, it will help attract people to take in more of the content that's alongside that image. It helps them stop the scroll, if you want to call it that way. And I often use marketing images in my post to my private community for the Thrive Marketing Academy. And what I mean by this is every week we do a check win. So I put in a post and I put an image to go with it. And I ask people on the check win, how did their week go? And I get them to share some wins in progress. And I like to add an inspirational image to go with the check win post. This is one way I repurpose the marketing images. I have an image storage system, which means every image we make is saved with a keyword-rich file name. And I know exactly where they're stored in my files on the computer or in Google Drive or Dropbox. And I can go back and enter the words I'm looking for if I'm thinking of a topic and see the images that might be connected to those words and pick one to pop in with my check-win post. It's just a way that I can use these images for a piece of content that's more for my private community, for people in the program. So I'm using it still as part of what I'm doing in my business, but I didn't have to take the time to create all brand new images. And if you're wondering, yes, I did make up the word check win. You won't find it in a dictionary. I just use it as a hashtag. It's when I check in to see what wins the members in the program are having each week. So when you look at all your marketing and the images and visuals that go with the content, you want to make sure that some of the images that you're creating have these messages that can stand alone. And the goal is with all of these 5 strategies is that you know what you're creating when it comes to your images, you know your plans for it, and you've got ideas on how to do it because you are going to need to add some images to your content. But they should not take up all of your time or a ton of time creating them. Try to create them in under 5 minutes. And that's what your action step today is to do, to review these 5 strategies and look at how you can incorporate them into your marketing plans and plan for effective images to use in your marketing without spending hours and hours creating them. Oh, and I do have a bonus tip for you too, and it's all related to saving time because that's a big part of strategies when it comes to marketing, especially with me. People complain all the time about it taking too much time, so I want to save you as much time as possible. So I do have a bonus tip. Use templates. They 100% will save you a ton of time. And what I mean by this is create some templates that you use for your marketing images. This is one of the most important ways you'll find you'll save time with your marketing and create the images that you still need to go along with your content. Templates help you make sure that when you sit down to create your marketing content, all you have to do is determine what words, if any, are going to go on the accompanying images. Then you copy and paste those words into your template, and that is truly how you create images following my 5 minutes max rule. If you've got your content there and know what words go on the images, it literally is copy, paste, post, put it in the image, download the image, and you're ready to go. And I say 5 minutes max, but honestly, for images like this, you can do it in less time too. And inside Canva, there are tons of templates you can use and start with. You can customize them and off you go. I do have a course I offer on using Canva, and it comes with some templates and training on how you can customize the templates to use as your own. Put your own brand colors on them, your own fonts, and then you can use them in your marketing. And I add these templates to the course because they're a game changer when it comes to your marketing and your time. Simply said, templates save time. And by the way, the Canva training course I have is getting some updated lessons and will be available for sale once again later in September 2023. So if you get on my wait list, you're going to get a bonus offer when it's ready for purchase again. And I'll link to that wait list in the show notes that you can find at marketingyourprivatepractice.com/59. Or if you're listening in on a podcast player, the show notes below the title to the episode should have the link in there as well. The main thing to understand about this bonus tip is that the best way you can save time and have effective images is to get those templates in place that you can use for your own marketing images. Branded, colors, fonts, everything you need to make them your own and make them effective so that they catch people's attention and stop the scroll. And that's everything I wanted to share with you today. The 5 strategies for creating effective marketing images in less time, saving you time, and a bonus tip on saving even more time when it comes to these images. My goal is that you will put these lessons to good use and message me and let me know if you're making those images in under 5 minutes or not too. I'd love to know. You can DM me on Instagram or Facebook, and you can find me on both platforms at Pepper It Marketing. And if you're having trouble with it, here's the thing. I want to offer you a free marketing review. I can possibly give you some ideas how to streamline the process you're using now for your images. And you can book one of these free marketing reviews on my website at pepperitmarketing.com/review. This is Kathy Colaiacovo saying thanks for listening in. And remember, to thrive in practice means having a marketing strategy and a plan that includes what you need for images and visuals to help you get your message across more effectively to your community. But let me tell you, those images should never take a ton of time to create. Planning for what you need along with how you put them together in a tactical and practical way, that will make those images effective and your time creating them well worthwhile. I'll see you next time. You can find all of our show notes and resources mentioned at marketingyourprivatepractice.com. Be sure to connect with me on Instagram at pepperitmarketing and say hi. I'd love to hear any feedback you have, and make sure to rate and review the podcast and hit subscribe on your favorite player so you don't miss any future episodes.